Today we're going to make two very useful Spanish verbs feel easy and natural: seguir and conseguir. These are great everyday verbs. Seguir usually means to follow or to continue. Conseguir usually means to get, obtain, or manage to get. And the nice thing is that they're like cousins. If you learn one pattern, the other one feels much easier. Let's start with the base idea. Seguir is to follow or to continue. For example, seguir la carretera means to follow the road. Seguir hablando means to keep talking. So this one can mean physical following, like following a person or a road, and also continuing an action. Now, conseguir adds the idea of getting or obtaining something. Think of it like this. Seguir is follow, and conseguir is kind of follow until you get it. Not a literal translation, but a very helpful memory trick. If you consigue something, well, in standard Spanish, consigue something, you get it. You manage to obtain it. Here's the big pattern for today. In the present tense, both verbs change in a very similar way. Seguir becomes sigo, sigues, sigue, seguimos, siguen. And conseguir becomes consigo, consigues, consigue, conseguimos, consiguen. Notice the fun little change. The E often turns into I. So seguir becomes sigo, not sego. Conseguir becomes consigo, not consego. Spanish is helping you here with a strong sound pattern. A quick memory trick. If you hear that stressed part, think E to I. Sigo, sigues, sigue. Consigo, consigues, consigue. But in nosotros, the pattern relaxes. Seguimos, conseguimos. That form stays more calm, more regular. You can almost imagine nosotros taking a deep breath and saying, "No drama today." Let's say the forms together naturally. Sigo, sigues, sigue, seguimos, siguen. Consigo, consigues, consigue, conseguimos, consiguen. Good. Again. Sigo, sigues, sigue, seguimos, siguen. Consigo, consigues, consigue, consiguen. And one small beginner-friendly reminder. In Spanish, you often don't need the subject pronoun. So instead of yo sigo, you'll often just hear sigo. Instead of nosotros conseguimos, just conseguimos. The verb already tells you who is doing it. Let's make this practical right away. How do you say I follow the road in Spanish? Sigo la carretera. Sigo la carretera. Good. Very natural. By the way, carretera is road or highway. If you wanted street, that would usually be calle. So sigo la carretera is more like I follow the road, not I follow the street signs through a tiny city center. Now, seguir is also super common for continue. For example, sigo estudiando means I keep studying or I continue studying. This is a very useful structure. Seguir plus an ando or yendo form. Seguir hablando, keep talking. Seguir trabajando, keep working. Seguir aprendiendo, keep learning. It's one of those patterns that makes your Spanish sound instantly more real. How do you say, I keep studying in Spanish? Sigo estudiando. Sigo estudiando. Nice. And notice that estudiando is from estudiar, to study. That ando ending is like saying studying. So sigo estudiando is literally something like I follow studying. But naturally it means I keep studying. Now let's move to another useful sentence. How do you say, can you follow me in Spanish? ¿Puedes seguirme? ¿Puedes seguirme? Excellent. That little me attached to seguir, seguirme, means me. So seguirme is to follow me. Spanish loves attaching little pronouns to the end of infinitive sometimes. You don't need to master all of that today. Just notice how neat and compact it is. ¿Puedes seguirme? Now let's switch to conseguir. This one is perfect for things like getting a ticket, getting a table, getting a job, getting an answer, even managing to do something. For example, Consigo una mesa means I get a table. Consigue entradas means he or she gets tickets. Conseguimos tiempo means we find or make time. Very practical. How do you say I get the job in Spanish? Consigo el trabajo. Consigo el trabajo. Great. Now, in real life, if you mean I get the job as in I obtain the job, this works well in simple conversation. In other situations, people might also say consigo trabajo for I find work, or consigo el puesto, depending on the exact idea. But consigo el trabajo is a very clear, useful practice sentence for this pattern. Let's compare the two verbs so your brain separates them clearly. Sigo means I follow or I continue. Consigo means I get or I obtain. One is movement or continuation. The other is successful obtaining. Sigo el plan, I follow the plan. Consigo un boleto, I get a ticket. How do you say I follow the plan? Sigo el plan. Sigo el plan. Perfect. How do you say I get a ticket in Spanish? Consigo un boleto. Consigo un boleto. Nice. A little side note. In many parts of the Spanish-speaking world, boleto means ticket. But in Spain, you'll also often hear billete for some types of tickets, and entrada for entry tickets like concert tickets. Don't worry about memorizing all the regional differences right now. Just know boleto is a good, useful word. Now, let's practice the other forms. Sigues, you follow or you continue. Sigue, he, she, or it follows or continues. Seguimos, we follow or continue. Siguen, they follow or continue. And with conseguir, consigues, you get. Consigue, he or she gets. Conseguimos, we get. Consiguen, they get. Let's hear them in action. Sigues mis instrucciones. You follow my instructions. Sigue adelante. Continue. Go on. Keep going. Seguimos aquí. We're still here. Siguen hablando. They keep talking. With conseguir, consigues una cita. You get an appointment. Consigue una respuesta. She gets an answer. Conseguimos boletos. We get tickets. Consiguen una mesa. They get a table. How do you say we get tickets in Spanish? Conseguimos boletos. Conseguimos boletos. Very good. And because this is A2, here's an important feeling to build. Nosotros forms often help you relax. Seguimos and conseguimos do not do the E to I change. So if you panic for a second, look for the nosotros form and breathe. Seguimos, conseguimos. Friendly forms. Now a common learner mistake, mixing up seguir with buscar. Buscar means to look for. Conseguir means to get. So busco un taxi means I'm looking for a taxi. Consigo un taxi means I get a taxi. Very different moment. One is the search, the other is the success. How do you say, I'm looking for a taxi? Busco un taxi. Busco un taxi. Good. How do you say, I get a taxi in Spanish? Consigo un taxi. Consigo un taxi. Excellent. Search versus success. Another common mistake is forgetting that seguir can mean continue. So if someone says sigue, it may mean follow, but it can also mean continue, go on. If a friend is telling a story and you say sigue, you're saying go on, continue. Not follow me through the supermarket with a shopping cart. How do you say continue please in Spanish? Sigue, por favor. Sigue, por favor. Nice. Now let's make one more very useful sentence. How do you say she gets what she wants in Spanish? Consigue lo que quiere. Consigue lo que quiere. Excellent. That little phrase lo que means what, as in the thing that. So lo que quiere is what she wants. You'll hear lo que all the time in Spanish, and it's worth getting comfortable with it early. Let's do a quick mini conversation feel. Listen and repeat in your head or out loud. Sigo aprendiendo. I keep learning. Consigo ayuda. I get help. Sigues aquí. You're still here. Conseguimos tiempo. We find time. Sigue la carretera. Follow the road. Consiguen una mesa. They get a table. Now a few rapid ones. How do you say we continue in Spanish? Seguimos. Seguimos. How do you say they follow the teacher in Spanish? Siguen al profesor. Siguen al profesor. Good. And that al is just a plus L to the or following the masculine person in that structure. How do you say you get an answer in Spanish? Consigues una respuesta. Consigues una respuesta. Great. Here's a memory image to help this really stick. Imagine two doors. Door 1 says Seguir. On that door, people are moving forward, following a map, continuing a conversation, keeping on going. Door 2 says Conseguir. On that door, people come out smiling with something in their hands. A ticket, a job, a table, a solution. Seguir is movement or continuation. Conseguir is obtaining. And now the sound pattern one last time because repetition is your friend. Sigo, sigues, sigue, seguimos, siguen. Consigo, consigues, consigue, conseguimos, consiguen. Hear that rhythm. Most forms do the E to I change, but seguimos and conseguimos stay regular. Before we finish, let's recap with a few clean examples. Sigo la carretera. I follow the road. Sigo estudiando. I keep studying. ¿Puedes seguirme? Can you follow me? Consigo el trabajo. I get the job. Conseguimos boletos. We get tickets. Consigue lo que quiere. She gets what she wants. So the big idea is simple. Seguir means to follow or continue. Conseguir means to get or obtain. In the present tense, they usually change from E to I. Sigo, sigues, sigue. Consigo, consigues, consigue. But the nosotros forms stay nice and steady. Seguimos, conseguimos. If this felt like a lot, don't worry. You do not need to remember everything perfectly today. If you remember just this, sigo is follow or continue. Consigo is get. You already learned something genuinely useful. And if you remember seguimos and conseguimos as the calm forms, even better. Keep listening, keep repeating, and yes, sigue aprendiendo. Sigue aprendiendo. You're doing better than you think. And little by little, consigues más español every day.